The flight attendant's voice came through the speakers of Star Cruiser Flight 427, going to the Alpha Centauri colony. All passengers, please go back to your seats and fasten your safety belts. We are having some unexpected gravity problems. Alexis, Aiden, and Austin Daniels looked at each other. They were 16-year-old triplets with dark brown skin and matching school uniforms from the Space Military Academy. They had been traveling between Earth and their parents' various workplaces since they were very small. They knew that unexpected gravity problems usually meant someone flying the ship had made a mistake with the jump points. Another new pilot, Aiden said quietly, fixing his neural headset. The triplets sat in the middle section of the large space cruiser. Around them, about 200 other travelers were going to the human colony in the Alpha Centauri star system. Most people were sleeping or watching shows on their personal screens. The ship was halfway through its journey, and everyone had settled into the calm routine of space travel. A tall flight attendant with a tight smile and very white teeth walked up to their row. Her name tag said Heather. She bent down and spoke in a low voice. "I need you three to get your things and come with me." Austin looked up from his science homework. "Why?" "There has been a complaint," Heather said, touching her collar nervously. "Some passengers are worried about what you're doing." Alexis sat up straight. "What are we doing? We've been sitting here studying for 3 hours." The triplets had indeed been quietly working on their academy lessons. Each had a small neural interface device behind their ear, letting them access the educational network. To anyone watching, they looked like 3 teenagers sitting still with their eyes half closed in concentration. The attendant looked quickly at the rich-looking couple sitting across the aisle. The man wore an expensive business suit and the woman had real diamond earrings. They both turned away when the triplets looked at them. "That's not my problem," Heather said. "The captain has final say on this ship, and he wants you removed before we jump to lightspeed." "This is crazy," Aiden said, keeping his voice calm even though he was getting angry. "We are Admiral Daniels' children. We're traveling to meet him at the Proxima station." Admiral Gregory Daniels was a well-known name in the United Earth Fleet. He had made history as the youngest admiral ever appointed, and was now one of the key people working on peace talks with alien civilizations in nearby star systems. Heather's smile got tighter. "I'm sure you are. Now please come with me before I call security." The triplets saw they had no choice. Making a scene would only reflect badly on their father and the academy. They had been taught how to handle unfair treatment. This wasn't the first time they had faced this problem, and they knew it wouldn't be the last. "Let's go," Alexis said to her brothers. "It's not worth fighting." They gathered their study materials and small travel bags. As they stood, Austin noticed several passengers watching. Some looked uncomfortable or confused. Others pretended not to see what was happening. A few nodded with satisfaction. The triplets followed Heather down the main aisle toward the exit. Walking in single file, heads held high, they felt everyone's eyes on them but didn't look back. Their academy training helped them keep their faces calm and their steps even. Reaching the front of the passenger section, they passed a young flight crew member who looked at them with confusion. "Heather, why are these passengers being captains?" "Orders," Heather cut him off. "Just check them out of the system." The young man frowned but turned to his screen. "I need your boarding passes, please." Alexis handed over their digital passes. The crew member scanned them and his eyebrows went up. "These are priority military family passes," he said quietly. "Are you sure?" "Just do it, Ryan," Heather snapped. Ryan looked uncomfortable but completed the process. "I'm sorry," he whispered as he returned their passes. In the narrow tunnel connecting the ship to the station, Aiden finally spoke. "Alexis, did you record all that?" Alexis nodded. Her neural interface had a function that could save the last 30 minutes of sight and sound. All Academy students were taught to use this feature to record important lectures. Today, it had captured something very different. "I got everything," she confirmed, including when that couple told Heather they were worried about us hacking into the ship's systems with our neural links. Austin shook his head. "They thought we were trying to take over the ship, because obviously 3 black teenagers in Academy uniforms must be planning something bad. The tunnel ended at the main terminal of New Houston Spaceport. It was a busy place with high ceilings and large windows looking out at the landing area. Hundreds of people from Earth and a few visitors from friendly alien worlds moved between shops, food places, and waiting areas. Heather walked the Triplets to the Star Cruiser customer service counter and spoke to the worker there. These three were removed from Flight 427 by Captain's order. They'll need to book another flight. With that, she turned and walked back toward the ship tunnel, not looking at the Triplets again. The customer service worker, a middle-aged woman with graying hair, looked at them with a mix of surprise and concern. What happened? Apparently, some passengers felt threatened by us studying with our neural interfaces, Alexis explained calmly. The woman frowned. That's unusual. Let me see what other flights we have to Alpha Centauri. While she checked her system, the Triplets moved a few steps away to talk. I've sent a message to Dad, Austin said, his neural interface blinking as the message went out. He should get it in about 3 minutes. Their father was currently at Proxima Centauri, the nearest star to Earth's sun, leading peace talks. Alexis watched through the big windows as their former flight prepared to leave. Ground crew were still loading cargo and checking systems. This is the 3rd time this year. Mom's going to file another complaint with the Space Travel Authority. Like that will help. Aiden sat down on a nearby bench. Remember what happened with Galaxy Lines last summer? They sent us a coupon for a free snack. A small group of people had gathered near the customer service desk, some of them passengers from their flight, who had witnessed what happened. Some looked uncomfortable, others pretended not to notice. I saved everything, Alexis reminded her brothers, including when that couple told Heather they felt worried about us connecting to the ship's network for our homework. Austin laughed without humor. They thought we were hacking the flight controls, because of course that's what we would be doing. Their neural interfaces all made a sound at the same time. A message from their father had arrived. Stay where you are. Help coming. We'll be there in 12 minutes. The Triplets looked at each other with surprise. Their father was supposed to be light years away, deep in important talks with alien representatives. How can he get here in 12 minutes? Aiden wondered. Austin smiled slowly. He must have taken the Peacekeeper. The Peacekeeper was their father's diplomatic ship, one of the fastest vessels in the Earth fleet. It was small but powerful, designed to carry important people quickly and safely between star systems. He's coming himself, Alexis said, a mix of emotions in her voice. He's bringing his ship. They turned to look through the big windows at the landing area, waiting to see what would happen next. The Triplets stood in the spaceport terminal with their bags at their feet. Around them, the busy New Houston spaceport hummed with activity. People rushed to catch flights, said goodbye to loved ones, or waited for arrivals from distant colonies. The huge windows showed the landing area where ships of all sizes took off and landed. 12 minutes, Aiden said, checking the time since their father's message. How is he getting here so fast? Austin leaned against a pillar. He must have been closer than we thought. Maybe he was already on his way to meet us. Alexis shook her head. No, the peace talks weren't supposed to end for another 3 days. He's changed his plans. The customer service worker called them back to the desk. I can get you on a flight leaving tomorrow morning, she said with an apologetic smile. That's the earliest available. Star Cruiser will provide hotel rooms for the night. Thank you, but that won't be necessary, Alexis told her politely. We have other plans now. The woman looked confused but nodded. If you change your mind, just come back to this desk. As the Triplets moved away, they noticed a small crowd gathering at the viewing windows. People were pointing at something in the sky. Look at that, someone said loudly. That's a military ship. The Triplets hurried to the window. High above, a black dot was growing larger quickly. It was moving much faster than the regular passenger ships that normally approached the spaceport. That's the Peacekeeper, Austin confirmed, a smile spreading across his face. Dad really brought it. The Peacekeeper was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was one of the most famous. Its sleek black hull was designed for speed and stealth, with special materials that could change color to match any environment. Though only about twice the size of a large passenger shuttle, it carried the most advanced technology Earth had developed. As the ship came closer, its engines slowed, and it began its landing approach. Unlike the commercial ships that followed, strict flight paths, the Peacekeeper headed straight for the private landing area reserved for government officials and the very wealthy. "He's going to cause a scene," Alexis said, half worried and half excited. Their father was normally a calm, quiet man who preferred to solve problems through proper channels. This was different. A group of spaceport workers rushed toward the private landing area. They hadn't received any notice about an important arrival. The Peacekeeper was now visible to everyone, its dark hull catching the sunlight as it descended smoothly toward the landing pad. Aiden noticed that several Starcruiser employees were also watching with worried expressions. One of them was talking urgently into a communication device. "I think someone recognized Dad's ship," he said to his siblings. The company people looked nervous. Through the large windows, they watched as the Peacekeeper touched down gently on the landing pad. The ship's engines powered down with a fading blue glow. For a moment, everything was still. Then a door opened in the side of the ship, extending a ramp to the ground. A tall man in a crisp admiral's uniform appeared at the top of the ramp. Even from a distance, the Triplets could see their father's familiar posture, straight-backed and confident. His dark skin and close-cropped hair were visible as he descended the ramp. Behind him came two aides in military uniforms, followed by something unexpected: 3 tall, thin figures that were clearly not human. "Is that—" Alexis squinted. "The Arcturus delegation." Austin finished her thought. Dad brought the alien representatives with him. This was shocking. The Arcturus were a peaceful but private alien race from a nearby star system. They rarely visited Earth, and their presence at the peace talks was considered a major diplomatic breakthrough. The fact that Admiral Daniels had brought them to a commercial spaceport was extraordinary. The crowd at the windows grew larger as word spread. Many people had never seen an Arcturus in person before. The aliens were about 7 feet tall with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. They had 4 arms and moved with graceful, flowing motions. A group of spaceport officials rushed out to meet the unexpected visitors. The Admiral spoke briefly with them, then gestured toward the terminal building. It was clear he wanted to come inside. "We should go meet them at the main entrance," Alexis said. The Triplets hurried through the terminal, weaving between curious onlookers. They reached the private entrance just as the doors slid open. Admiral Gregory Daniels walked in, his presence commanding immediate attention. The 2 military aides flanked him, and behind them the 3 Arcturus representatives had to duck slightly to pass through the human-sized doors. "Dad!" Austin called out. The Admiral spotted his children, and his serious expression softened slightly. He changed direction and walked straight to them, the entire group following in his wake. "Alexis, Aiden, Austin," he said, nodding to each of them. His voice was calm, but they knew him well enough to hear the anger underneath. "Are you all right?" "We're fine, Dad," Alexis assured him. "Just the usual problems." Admiral Daniels looked around, taking in the scene. Many people were staring at them now, some at the famous Admiral, others at the alien visitors, and some at the family reunion happening in front of them. "Where is the Starcruiser representative?" he asked. As if summoned by his words, a nervous-looking man in a company uniform hurried toward them. "Admiral Daniels," he said, slightly out of breath. "This is unexpected. I'm Keith Wilson, Starcruiser's station manager." "Mr. Wilson," the Admiral said, his voice level, "my children were removed from your flight without cause. I'd like to discuss this matter with whoever made that decision." The manager swallowed hard. "Of course, sir. Would you like to use our private conference room?" "That would be appropriate," the Admiral agreed. The manager glanced uncertainly at the Arcturus representatives. All of you?" One of the aliens stepped forward. It was taller than the others, with skin that shifted between silver and blue. When it spoke, the voice was musical and slightly echoing. "We are here as witnesses," it said in perfect English. "This incident has diplomatic implications." The manager's face went pale. Diplomatic, I see. Please follow me. As they walked through the terminal, people moved out of their way. The triplets noticed that the flight attendant who had removed them, Heather, was standing near a gate staring at them with a shocked expression. The manager led them to a door marked Star Cruiser VIP Lounge and ushered them inside. The room was large and comfortable, with soft chairs and a table in the center. Large windows looked out at the landing area, where they could see both the Peacekeeper and the Star Cruiser flight that the triplets had been removed from. The commercial ship was still at the gate, its departure delayed. Please sit down, the manager said nervously. Can I offer anyone refreshments? That won't be necessary, Admiral Daniels replied. What I need is an explanation. The triplets sat on a couch against one wall. Their father remained standing, as did the alien representatives. The aides positioned themselves near the door. Ole. Need to call the flight captain, the manager said, reaching for a communication device. He made the final decision. Please do, the admiral said. And while you're at it, ask the passengers who complained about my children to join us as well. The manager hesitated, then nodded. Yes, sir. As the manager made the calls, Aiden leaned over to his siblings and whispered, This is going to be interesting. The door to the VIP lounge opened and several people walked in. First came the captain of the Star Cruiser flight, a middle-aged man with graying hair and a stiff posture. Behind him was Heather, the flight attendant who had removed the triplets from the plane. She kept her eyes down, avoiding looking at the admiral or his children. Last came the wealthy couple from the flight, the man in his expensive business suit and the woman with diamond earrings. The captain approached Admiral Daniels and offered his hand. Captain Frank Harris, sir. I understand there's been a situation with your children. The admiral did not take the offered hand. Yes, Captain. My children were removed from your flight without cause. I'd like to understand why. Captain Harris lowered his hand slowly. Sir, I made the decision based on passenger complaints and my crew's observations. It was a safety precaution. Safety? Admiral Daniels raised an eyebrow. What exactly did my children do that threatened the safety of your ship? The captain looked uncomfortable. They were interfacing with the ship's systems. They were studying, the admiral corrected, using standard neural interfaces approved by the Space Academy and the Transportation Authority. Heather stepped forward nervously. Sir, these passengers, she gestured to the wealthy couple, reported concerns about unusual neural activity from your children's seats. Admiral Daniels turned to the couple. And you are? The man straightened his back. Bradley Peterson. This is my wife, Karen. We're returning from a business trip to Earth. I'm the CEO of Peterson Mining Corporation. And what exactly concerned you about 3 teenagers studying quietly in their seats, Mr. Peterson? The man shifted his weight. Look, Admiral, we've all heard about the recent hacking attempts on commercial vessels. When we saw 3 individuals accessing the ship's networks through neural interfaces, we were concerned. 3 black individuals, Alexis said from her seat on the couch. That's what you really mean, isn't it? Karen Peterson's face flushed. That's not fair. This has nothing to do with... Please don't lie, the musical voice of the Arcturus representative interrupted. Your emotional patterns indicate deception. Everyone in the room turned to look at the alien. The Arcturians were known for their ability to sense human emotions with remarkable accuracy. The tallest alien stepped forward. I am Ambassador Vela of the Arcturus Coalition. We were in transit to a peace conference with Admiral Daniels when he received the message about this incident. We chose to accompany him because discrimination is a matter of significant concern to our people. The Star Cruiser representatives looked increasingly uncomfortable. The Arcturus Coalition was a powerful alliance of 3 alien civilizations. Their trade agreements with Earth were worth billions of credits annually. This is a simple misunderstanding, Captain Harris tried to explain. We received complaints and acted according to our security protocols. I have reviewed your security protocols, Admiral Daniels said. They state that neural interfaces approved by the Earth Educational Network are permitted on all flights. My children were using standard Academy interfaces to access their studies. Nothing more. The Admiral reached into his pocket and took out a small device. He placed it on the table in the center of the room. A holographic image appeared above it, a recording from Alexis's neural interface showing exactly what had happened on the ship. Everyone watched as the scene played out. The recording clearly showed the triplets sitting quietly, then Heather approaching them. The hologram captured the flight attendant's words. "There's been a complaint. Several passengers have expressed concern about your behavior." The recording continued, showing the confused reactions of the triplets and their explanation that they were studying. It also captured the moment when Heather glanced at the Petersons, who quickly looked away. When the recording ended, the room was silent for a moment. "That's not the full story," Bradley Peterson finally said. "They were accessing restricted areas of the ship's network." "That's false," Austin spoke up. "We were only connected to the educational network, which is accessible through the ship's public Wi-Fi. We have no interest in or ability to access flight systems." One of the Admiral's aides stepped forward and handed him a tablet. "Sir, I've checked the ship's logs. There was no unauthorized access to any restricted systems during the time the young Daniels were on board." Captain Harris frowned. "How did you access our ship's logs?" "I requested them from your central office," the aide explained. "As is my right as a representative of Earth Fleet Security when investigating a potential case of discrimination." The spaceport manager, who had been watching nervously from the side, cleared his throat. "Admiral Daniels, on behalf of Starcruiser, I want to apologize for any misunderstanding." "This wasn't a misunderstanding," Admiral Daniels said firmly. "This was discrimination. My children were targeted because of how they look, not because of anything they did." Karen Peterson suddenly spoke up, her voice angry. "You can't just throw around accusations like that. Do you know who my husband is? His company has contracts with the Earth government." Admiral Daniels turned to her with a calm expression. "Yes, Mrs. Peterson, I'm aware of your husband's company. In fact, as the head of the Military Ethics Committee, I recently approved new transparency requirements for all mining corporations with government contracts. Perhaps you've heard about that." Bradley Peterson's face went pale. The new transparency requirements were causing significant problems for companies that had been cutting corners on worker safety and environmental protections. Ambassador Vela stepped forward again. "We find human bias fascinating and troubling. On our worlds, we judge individuals by their actions and abilities, not by the color of their skin coverings." The alien turned to look directly at the Petersons. "Your species has achieved space travel and made contact with multiple alien civilizations. Yet some of you still fear those who merely look different in minor ways. It is primitive." Bradley Peterson's face reddened. "Now listen here." "No. You listen," Admiral Daniels interrupted, his voice firm but not raised. "What happened today was wrong. My children were humiliated and inconvenienced because of baseless suspicions grounded in prejudice." He turned to the Starcruiser representatives. "This is not the first such incident with your airline. My wife and I have filed formal complaints twice before when our children experienced similar treatment." The captain looked surprised. "I wasn't aware of previous incidents, sir." "That's part of the problem," Admiral Daniels said. "Your company receives these complaints but takes no meaningful action. The pattern continues." The Admiral walked to stand beside his children. "My son Austin is first in his class in quantum mechanics. Aiden has already published research on interstellar navigation. Alexis is fluent in 3 human languages and 2 alien ones. They are the future of humanity's place among the stars." He looked around the room. Yet they were removed from a flight because their presence made some passengers uncomfortable. "That is unacceptable." The spaceport manager stepped forward nervously. "What can we do to make this right, Admiral?" "Several things," Admiral Daniels replied. "First, Starcruiser will implement mandatory anti-bias training for all staff. Second, you will revise your complaint procedures to prevent discrimination. Third, you will donate 1 million credits to the Space Academy Diversity Scholarship Fund." The manager's eyes widened. 1 million credits? That's a small fraction of your annual profits, the Admiral finished for him, and less costly than a formal complaint to the Interstellar Transportation Authority, with the Arcturus Coalition as witnesses. The captain and manager exchanged worried glances. Everyone in the room knew that the presence of the alien representatives changed everything. This was no longer just a customer service issue, it was now a diplomatic incident. "We'll need to consult with our head office," the manager said weakly. "Of course," Admiral Daniels nodded. "You have 24 hours to provide your response. In the meantime, my children and I will be continuing to Proxima Station on the Peacekeeper." He turned to the triplets. "Get your things. We're leaving." As the Daniels family prepared to leave, Ambassador Vela approached the Petersons. "Your discomfort with these young humans has caused much trouble. Perhaps you should consider why their appearance triggers such irrational fear in you." The alien's shimmering skin reflected the room's light as it leaned closer to whisper. "It is those who fear difference who will struggle most as humanity joins the wider galactic community. There are many forms of intelligence among the stars, and very few look like you." The triplets followed their father out of the VIP lounge. A small crowd had gathered in the main terminal, watching the unusual group. It wasn't every day that people saw a high-ranking Earth admiral, 3 alien representatives, and military aides walking through a commercial spaceport. "Everyone's staring," Aiden said quietly. "Let them," his father replied. "Sometimes people need to see something different to change how they think." As they walked toward the private exit that led to the landing area, Admiral Daniels slowed his pace to walk beside Alexis. "That was good thinking to record what happened," he told her. "Your mother taught you well." Alexis smiled. Their mother, Dr. Diana Daniels, was a lawyer specializing in civil rights cases. She had always taught her children to document any unfair treatment they experienced. "I wish Mom could have seen you in there," Alexis said. "You didn't raise your voice once." "I didn't need to," the Admiral replied. The facts spoke for themselves. Austin caught up with them. "Dad, was it really necessary to bring the Arcturus delegation? The peace talks are important." Admiral Daniels looked at his son. "The delegates chose to come. When I received your message and explained the situation, Ambassador Vela insisted on accompanying me. The Arcturians have a strong sense of justice." The tallest alien, Ambassador Vela, moved with flowing grace beside them. Its silvery skin changed color slightly as it passed through different lighting. "Young Austin," the alien said, "peace between worlds begins with how each species treats its own kind. If humans discriminate against humans based on skin color, how can we trust your promises about respecting alien differences?" Austin nodded thoughtfully. "I hadn't considered that." They reached the private exit doors. Outside, the sleek Peacekeeper waited on the landing pad. Its black hull absorbed the sunlight, making it look like a shadow against the bright concrete. Before they could leave, a voice called out behind them. "Admiral Daniels, wait!" They turned to see the spaceport manager hurrying toward them, followed by a woman in a Star Cruiser executive uniform. "Admiral, this is Paula Rivera, Star Cruiser's regional director. She would like to speak with you." The woman stepped forward. Unlike the captain and manager, she met the Admiral's eyes directly. "Admiral Daniels, I was contacted immediately about this incident. I've reviewed the recording and discussed the situation with our head office." "And?" the Admiral asked. "We accept your terms," she said firmly. "All of them. The anti-bias training will begin next week. The complaint procedures will be revised immediately, and the donation to the scholarship fund will be made today." The Admiral raised an eyebrow, surprised by the quick response. "That was fast." Director Rivera nodded. "We were already under investigation by the Transportation Authority for 2 similar incidents last month. This would have been the final strike against us." She glanced at the Arcturus representatives. "Especially with interstellar witnesses." She turned to the triplets. "On behalf of Star Cruiser, I offer our sincere apology. What happened to you was wrong, and we failed in our duty to treat all passengers with respect and dignity." The triplets exchanged glances. They had heard corporate apologies before, but this one seemed genuine. "Apology accepted," Alexis said after a moment. Her brothers nodded in agreement. Director Rivera continued. "We would also like to offer lifetime premium passes to all 3 of you, not as compensation, because we know this isn't about free travel, but as a small gesture that we value you as customers." "Thank you," Admiral Daniels said. "That's a nice gesture, but the more important changes are the ones that will help prevent this from happening to others." "I understand," the director said, "and we are committed to those changes." She hesitated, then added, "There's one more thing. Captain Harris and Flight Attendant Heather have both been suspended pending further review, and the Petersons have been added to our no-fly list." This surprised everyone. The no-fly list was normally reserved for passengers who posed security threats. "The Petersons?" Aiden asked. "Why?" "Our policy prohibits passengers from making false reports that disrupt flight operations," Director Rivera explained. "Their complaint was clearly without merit and motivated by prejudice. We don't want that kind of behavior on our ships." Ambassador Vela made a musical sound that the Triplets recognized as the Arcturus equivalent of approval. "Justice is served in multiple directions. This is good." The Admiral nodded. "Thank you, Director Rivera. I appreciate your prompt action." As the Star Cruiser representatives walked away, the Admiral turned to his children. "Let's go. The Arcturus delegation still needs to reach Proxima Station for the treaty signing." They exited the terminal and walked across the landing pad to the Peacekeeper. The ship's ramp extended automatically as they approached. On board the Peacekeeper, the Triplets were amazed by the advanced technology. Unlike the commercial Star Cruiser ship, which was designed for passenger comfort, the Peacekeeper was built for speed and function. The control room was sleek and efficient with holographic displays and neural interface stations. "This is amazing," Austin said, running his hand along a control panel. "Much better than the Academy simulators." Captain Lisa Ortiz, the ship's pilot, smiled at him. "Would you like to co-pilot during takeoff?" Austin's eyes widened. "Really? Can I?" The captain looked at Admiral Daniels, who nodded his approval. "Consider it a training opportunity. You three are on the command track at the Academy, aren't you?" "Yes, sir," all three Triplets answered together. "Then this is a good chance to get some real experience," the Admiral said. "Alexis, you can observe navigation. Aiden, take the communications station." The Triplets took their positions excitedly. They had trained in simulators, but this was their first time on an actual military vessel's bridge. "Preparing for takeoff," Captain Ortiz announced. "New Houston Control. This is Earth Fleet Vessel Peacekeeper requesting immediate departure clearance." The response came quickly through the ship's speakers. "Peacekeeper, you are cleared for immediate takeoff. Priority flight path approved." The AFU engines hummed to life, vibrating softly through the floor. Ambassador Vela and the other Arcturus representatives settled into specially designed seats that accommodated their unusual body shape. "Engaging gravity compensators," Austin said, following the captain's guidance. His hands moved over the controls smoothly, just as he had practiced in the Academy. "Well done," Captain Ortiz nodded approvingly. The Peacekeeper lifted off smoothly, rising straight up before angling toward the sky. Through the viewport, they could see the spaceport shrinking below them. The Star Cruiser flight that the Triplets had been removed from was still at its gate, delayed by the incident. "Look," Alexis pointed. "They still haven't taken off. They'll be at least 2 hours late to Proxima," Aiden noted with a small smile. "We'll get there before them, even though we left Earth after they did." As the ship accelerated, the blue sky darkened to black, and stars became visible. Earth's curve appeared below them, a beautiful blue arc against the darkness of space. Admiral Daniels stood behind his children, watching them work at their stations. Despite the serious reason for their journey, he felt proud seeing them handle themselves professionally. "Setting course for Proxima Centauri," Captain Ortiz announced. "Preparing for lightspeed jump." The stars outside began to stretch into lines as the Peacekeeper accelerated to faster than light speed. The Triplets watched in amazement as the fabric of space seemed to bend around them. "This is so much better than commercial travel," Austin said with a grin. His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "Yes, but today was about more than just a better ride. It was about standing up for what's right." Ambassador Vela moved to join them at the viewport. "Your children handled themselves with dignity, Admiral. They will represent humanity well among the stars." The Admiral nodded. That's all any parent can hope for, that their children will go further and do better than the generation that came before. As the Peacekeeper raced toward Proxima Centauri, the Earth and its problems shrank behind them, becoming just a blue dot in the vast expanse of space. The Peacekeeper dropped out of light speed with a gentle shudder. The stars stopped stretching and returned to their normal, pinpoint appearance. Ahead of them, Proxima Centauri glowed red in the viewport, and its inhabited planet, Proxima Station, hung like a blue-green jewel against the blackness of space. Arrival at Proxima Centauri complete, Captain Ortiz announced. Travel time, 47 minutes. Aiden checked the navigation screens with amazement. That's a new record. The commercial flight would have taken over 3 hours. Admiral Daniels smiled. The Peacekeeper is the fastest ship in the fleet. That's why it was assigned to diplomatic missions. The Triplets had spent the journey learning about the ship's systems. Austin had helped with piloting, Alexis had studied navigation, and Aiden had monitored communications. The Arcturus delegates had remained in the ship's conference room preparing for the peace talks. Proxima Control. This is Earth Fleet vessel. Peacekeeper requesting landing clearance, Captain Ortiz said into the communications system. Peacekeeper, this is Proxima Control. You are cleared for immediate landing at the diplomatic port. Welcome back, Admiral Daniels. The planet grew larger in the viewport as they approached. Unlike Earth, Proxima Station was mostly ocean with small, scattered islands. Humans had built floating cities on its vast seas, creating a network of connected platforms that housed the colony's 500,000 residents. It's beautiful, Alexis said, looking at the floating metropolis that sparkled with lights. I've only seen pictures before. Their father nodded. It's one of our most successful colonies. The ocean environment is similar to what the Arcturus people prefer, which is why it was chosen for the peace talks. As they descended toward the diplomatic landing area, a message came through on the Admiral's private channel. He listened through his neural interface, then turned to his children. Your mother has arrived. She came as soon as she heard what happened. The Triplets exchanged surprised looks. Their mother had been on Earth working on an important legal case. She dropped everything and took the first available transport, the Admiral explained. She wants to file a formal complaint with the Interstellar Transportation Authority. Austin laughed. Starcruiser isn't going to know what hit them. Mom's even scarier than you are in a meeting. Their father smiled. That's why I married her. Peacekeeper touched down gently on a landing pad that extended from one of the largest floating platforms. Through the viewports, they could see a small welcome committee waiting for them. Ambassador Vela joined them in the control room. Thank you for the swift transport, Admiral. This incident has given us much to consider about human interactions. I hope it hasn't affected your view of our readiness for the treaty, Admiral Daniels said. The alien made a flowing gesture with its forearms. On the contrary, seeing how you address the injustice against your children has increased our confidence. You demonstrated that humans can recognize their flaws and work to correct them. The ramp extended, and they prepared to disembark. The Admiral's aides went first, followed by the Arcturus delegation. Then the Admiral gestured for his children to go ahead of him. As they walked down the ramp, the Triplets saw their mother waiting with the welcome committee. Dr. Diana Daniels was a tall woman with the same dark brown skin as her children. She wore the formal robes of an Earth High Court advocate. Mom, Alexis called out, quickening her pace. Their mother embraced each of them tightly, then looked them over as if checking for injuries. Are you all right? I came as soon as your father told me what happened. We're fine, Aiden assured her. Dad took care of everything. Dr. Daniels looked up as her husband approached. I heard you made quite an entrance at New Houston Spaceport. Admiral, Daniels smiled. It seemed appropriate under the circumstances. The Starcruiser regional director called me, she told him. She wanted to assure me personally that all your terms were being implemented. Did she mention that the Petersons are now on their no-fly list? Austin asked with a grin. His mother raised an eyebrow. She did. I was impressed. Usually these companies protect their wealthy customers, no matter how badly they behave. A colonial official approached and bowed slightly. Admiral Daniels, Dr. Daniels, welcome to Proxima Station. The treaty delegation is ready whenever you are, sir. Thank you, the Admiral replied. Please inform them I'll join the talks after I've settled my family. As the official walked away, Dr. Daniels turned to her children. I've arranged for you to stay in the diplomatic quarters with us. I thought after today you might not want to go back to the academy accommodations right away. The triplets normally stayed in the student housing when visiting Proxima Station, as they took special classes at the colony's academy extension. That would be great, Alexis said. We can tell you everything that happened. They walked together toward a sleek transport vehicle that would take them to the diplomatic quarter of the floating city. Around them, the sights and sounds of Proxima Station filled their senses. The smell of the alien ocean, the sound of waves lapping against the floating platforms, and the unique architecture designed to work with the water rather than against it. By the way, their mother said casually, I've been in contact with the head of the Transportation Authority. They're launching a full investigation into discrimination on commercial space flights. They've asked if you three would be willing to testify about your experiences. The triplets looked at each other, communicating silently as they often did. Yes, Austin spoke for all of them. If it will help make things better for others. Their father nodded with approval. That's the right decision. They reached the transport vehicle, and a door slid open automatically. Inside was a comfortable cabin with seats that adjusted to each passenger's preferred position. As they settled in, Ambassador Vela approached their vehicle. Admiral, before you go, I wanted to inform you that I have shared today's events with my government. The Arcturus High Council was most interested in how your family handled this situation. I hope in a positive way, the Admiral said. The alien's skin shifted to a warm golden color, which the Daniels family recognized as a sign of approval. Indeed, they have asked that your children attend tomorrow's treaty ceremony as honored guests. The Council believes that seeing your family will help our people understand humanity's potential. The triplets looked at their parents in surprise. We would be honored, Admiral Daniels replied. After the ambassador departed, the transport began moving smoothly across the water toward the diplomatic quarter. Honored guests at an interstellar treaty signing, Aiden said, shaking his head in disbelief. All because we got kicked off a flight. Their mother took his hand. Not because you got kicked off a flight, because of how you conducted yourselves when faced with injustice. You stayed dignified, you documented what happened, and you stood up for yourselves in the right way. Your mother's right, Admiral, Daniels added. The Arcturians value dignity and truth above all else. They saw those qualities in you today. The transport glided across the water, the setting sun of Proxima Centauri casting red-gold light across the waves. Ahead, the diplomatic quarter rose from the ocean, its buildings designed to blend harmoniously with the natural environment. Do you think things will ever change? Alexis asked quietly. Will there be a time when people don't make assumptions based on how we look? Her father was silent for a moment before answering. Progress is never a straight line. But yes, I believe, things will change. Each generation does better than the last. And now we're joining a community of species across the stars. That will change humanity's perspective in ways we can't even imagine yet. As the transport approached their destination, the first stars became visible in the darkening sky above Proxima Station. The triplets looked up, thinking about the vast universe and humanity's place in it. Tomorrow, their mother said with a smile, you three will be part of making history. The first Earth treaty with the Arcturus Coalition. That's something no one can take away from you. The transport docked gently at the diplomatic quarter, and the family stepped out together, ready to face whatever adventures awaited them among the stars.